all through the holidays. Brand new interviews that you have not heard before. And, of course, a fan favorite here, Cliff Schecter, kind enough to join us. Cliff's Edge is the YouTube page that you will find him at, and he's got lots of content there. And a matter of fact, most of the stuff that we're going to talk about, some of the politics stuff, he's already done great videos on, a lot, very popular stuff. Go to Cliff's Edge on YouTube, subscribe there, become part of his Patreon, help him out, because he is definitely one of the voices we need to have loud and proud coming in to 2025. Cliff, as always, thank you very much, and happy holidays, my friend.
Happy holidays to you too. And I'll even say to you specifically, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, sir.
And in my family, we celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah. So Merry Christmas,
Is Hanukkah late? Is this the latest Hanukkah can be? I think they started on the 26th.
I think it is. It starts on Christmas Day.
Okay.
So I think we're just gonna have a blowout that day and just get the kids drunk. And I'm kidding, everybody. Don't call the police on me, please.
That's the Cincinnati way. It's the Cincinnati way.
Yeah, look, this is a tough working class town. All right. You go to work, you work hard, you come home, you get the kids drunk. It's what you do. You know, and especially if you watch and have any faith in the Bengals or the Reds, you have to.
There's cause there, cause and effect.
There's cause, but I wanted to say one quick thing. Sorry, I apologize to folks for the self promotion, but on the YouTube channel, which is at Cliffs_Edge, we just broke 100,000 subscribers about 2 days ago. Huge for us. Which means they pay a lot more attention to us at YouTube, because this will shock you. YouTube then determines when you break that you can make them money. It's not about that. Trust me, it's not because they're like, how can we help that poor soul? It's how can we pad our bank account more? He got himself to 100,000. So point is that the videos will get more attention and everything, but I hope you'll come by and subscribe. I also hope that you will come and watch our live stream, which has been getting thousands of people every day. I do it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 2 p.m. Eastern to about whenever I feel like. But often I went over 2 hours the other day. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes yesterday. Sometimes it's an hour and a half. So please do all that. And yes, Patreon. But
Patreon.
Sorry, had to do it.
Okay, I'm glad you are doing it, because I want to start there, because there is, I talked about this on one of my radio shows a week or so ago, where I talked about this malaise, this nihilism that's kind of creeping in. If you are like myself, you are what we call content creators. I'm a radio host, but now they call them content creators. And
they've changed your title without even asking you.
Now, not even close. If you get into this stuff every day, first of all, you're putting out a lot of content, and that's why you're successful. Is we're putting out a lot of content, but you've run into the thing I run into too, which is I basically at times just have to stop. I mean, I have a guy come on once a week. We talk about Vikings football, and we do it for one segment, and it kind of clears my mind. I can talk football. I don't have to talk anything else. And the reality is, I get some people that get upset about this, but if you do this and you are looking at the world we're in right now, post-election, it will drive you nuts. I don't know how guys like Aaron Rupar can do it, but for myself, it's important that, for my own sanity, to get through these next 4 years, I just can't be, it's outrage, I'm outraged all the time. I got to find other things to embrace myself with. And you've done that with your page as well.
Well, there's a couple things for me, right? And there are some strategies that have always worked. I wasn't creating as much content, but, I was doing a lot more of PR and ad writing, which meant I still was buried deep in this stuff. And my strategies in the past, one of them is a sad one that I wish I didn't have to do. But when I get home often, first of all, I want to spend time with my kids. I've got a senior in college. I'm sorry, I got a senior in high school. Just got into college this week. Got into a great school.
What school?
Miami of Ohio.
Nice. So, that is a good school.
It's a fantastic school. It's like one of those, they rate one of the best public universities in the country often.
Yes,
and,
they do.
There's a lot of family on my wife's side that went there. And so he's not sure. There's, we're applying to Northwestern and USC and some of the private ones that I'm just like, oh God, am I going to have to pay for that? Or can a meteor come down with, money in it or something? But Miami, we loved Wisconsin. He applied there. We applied to University of Indiana, which has some great programs. So, we don't know yet, and I probably shouldn't even be sharing any more of my son's private business here. But point being, that was great. There's some good things have happened like that. But I can't, to get back to the point, I go home and I can't read the way I used to. I used to come home, I'd read a book, I'd read whatever. Maybe I can find some stuff that I want to read that's completely like zero relation to politics, but I'm doing it all day. And that that always led me to burnout. But in the post-Trump, like, winning again somehow era, I'll be honest, I find myself, I'm angry a lot. I'm angry at a lot of people. Some of them are on our side, some of them on the other side, some of them are supposed to be on the other side, but enabled all of it. And so what I've chosen to do, and I told my audience this, I'm like, look, I'm lucky. I run another business, a completely different business that's pretty successful. I said, but if I'm going to do this and put in this kind of time, you guys have to support me in this financially, because I'm not going to just drain my other business to do this if this can't make me money. And I said, the second thing is, you've got to be okay with, I'm going to talk about the Yankees and Reds sometimes because I love baseball and the history of baseball. I'm going to talk about Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, and Aerosmith and Pearl Jam sometimes because I love rock and roll. I'm going to talk about, the Gladiator movies and Breaking Bad because I love whether it's cinematic TV or great movies, action, drama, some comedies too. I'm going to talk about cats. We have 4 of them. We're crazy. One of them's diabetic. Between cleaning cat poop and giving her shots and getting her the right food, I probably spend I don't even want to say it. I love my cats. I adore them, and I would do anything for them. But I love them. So I'm going to talk about cats. Like you have to embrace the fact that I'm going to have some guests on and some other people. And even when I have guests on that have strong political opinions, and they usually do, it's going to be, it'll sometimes be, I had Zaki Hassan on, I was telling you last week, from the movie reviewer from the San Francisco Chronicle. We talked a little bit of politics, then we talked movies. I had on Jamie Schler, who owns a hotel, lives in France. She left the United States after Reagan. She saw it coming, was like, I don't want to live in the United States anymore, and lives in France and has got his award-winning cookbook author. And we talked about some of the stuff that she does. I had people that I'm sure people at your station are quite familiar with, Bill Corbett and John Fugelsang.
Yep.
And we didn't just talk politics. I wanted to know about how they got into comedy, how they got into acting, what the background was, the industry. And that's just, if I can't do that stuff, if it's just outrage politics 24/7, I'll stop doing this. I mean, I'll shut my channel down. I can't. I mean, it's a mental health issue, and I would hope people would understand that. So,
well, and they do, and there are going to be 2 things. We're not going to talk politics this first segment. I got to go into 2 things that you and I can relate to. We got about 5 minutes here, but first, visiting colleges. My youngest she's graduating high school this year. She is getting approached by a lot of places like Pepperdine and Miami of Ohio and a lot of other places.
Isn't it cool when you start getting those letters and you're like, wow, people like my kid?
Till you realize what the cost is. I mean, we went and visited Michigan, and Michigan's a gorgeous campus. I mean, I sports aside, Michigan's got a gorgeous campus, and I just like
out of state. Yeah, I love Michigan too. I mean, it's a great school, and it's actually one of the ones where we're considering. But I shouldn't say where we still are, but it might as well be a private school when you're out of state. I mean,
exactly. My oldest went to Minnesota, graduated University of Minnesota Twin Cities, graduated there.
Right.
My second is up at UMD, but she's trying to, she's likely going to transfer either to Madison or to the Twin Cities after this. And
UMD in this equation is University of Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah, that's right. Not Maryland. No,
that's what I'm saying. Some people, the part of the world I spent 10 years living in, the Washington D.C. area, I would hear UMD all the time, and it meant something different. So I'm just making sure.
No, UMD, and by the way, Duluth, underrated food town. You and I need to go up there, man. Dude, that food is amazing up there.
Next time I'm up there, you give the folks, if you ever want a tour guide, you honestly should tip and pay big money, because it could be like a second job for this guy. I mean, I thought wherever I live, I embrace where I live. I've lived in about 10 places, a couple of them in Europe, a couple of them around parts of the United States. Wherever I live, I tend to embrace it, learn, go see the local museums, artifacts, this, that, other thing. But nobody knows their hometown the way Matt knows his hometown. It's just not. It's a whole other level. Is what it is.
Well, I mean, it was so great to have you out here when you did come on out for the Sexy Liberal tour earlier this year. Anytime you want to come on out, I got to get out to Cincinnati. I am going to subject myself to a Reds game. I do want to come on out there.
Subject myself. I'm not sure why you'd be subjecting yourself unless you wanted the Reds to win.
Well,
I mean, if you're rooting for the Reds to lose, you're not subjecting yourself to anything. I wish they would win more often, but then when you come to another off season like this one, and you're like, I think they've made one trade for a very good pitcher from the Kansas City, which could help, but they, that gets me angry too, and it's actually probably, look, I will always be a Yankees fan. I tell people this, they can get as mad at me as they want or resent as they want, but like, it is literally try to argue with this. I want to see the look on their face if they try to. It is my connection to my dad, who's no longer here. You know, he took me when I was 5. I mean, earliest memories, Reggie Jackson hitting 3 home runs when I was 4 years old or whatever it was. I mean, seriously, as a 4-year-old, you remember things that are exciting. There's so much excitement. He took me to those Yankees games. He grew up till he's a teenager in the Bronx, blocks from Yankee Stadium. And that's my, so wouldn't change anyhow. But I will admit that, there's been no competing factor because, part of my problem with baseball, I don't know that we're going to get into the whole baseball discussion, but they won't, I believe as much as there needs to be, I don't believe in one salary cap. I believe in a range. And I think there should be a floor and a ceiling. Somehow you guys make it to the playoffs. Somehow Kansas City makes it, even won a World Series. Somehow the Cleveland Guardians are there every year. The Reds have no excuse. Similar sized Midwest cities make it. And if you don't spend enough on payroll, you should be forced to sell the team. My opinion.
Well, here's our problem with the Twins this year is they're for sale. And so no one wants to spend anything. They just went to winter meetings and got that.
Who owns them right now?
What's that?
Who owns them right now?
Pohlads there own it. The Pohlads own it. They're trying to sell it. Sounds like there's some guy that's associated with Chicago and the Phoenix Suns that might want to be a bidder. A lot of people are interested in the team. They're not going to move it. They're going to stick here. But it is, they're not spending any money. You can be happy. And although at the expense of our good friends in Chicago who are listening right now, Cody Bellinger is now a Yankee. And I mean, that's a pretty good pickup there for your Yanks.
I was excited, very excited about that. It was hilarious. I was on a call for work yesterday. It popped up on my computer because I have the notifications, and I was counting down my head. My younger son, Luke, is a huge Yankees fan. My older son is more the rock and roller and doesn't really care about that stuff much. And I was like, how long? Let's see, 3, 2, 1. My phone, I get call, I get the call waiting on the other line, the second line. Luke is calling, and I'm like, I just picked up, I'm like, Cody, I mean, but listen, I know the Cubs did it. The Cubs actually spent some money, and they did it because they traded for Kyle Tucker and they want to re-sign him next year. And that guy is like not much less. I was always hoping we'd get him because he's really not much less than Juan Soto. He's like Juan Soto light. I mean, he's amazing. So you got a clear salary for him.
Yeah. We got to take a break. When we come back, let's get the politics stuff out of the way in the next 2 seconds. We'll talk about some other things when we come on back. Cliff Schecter joining us, brand new to you content. It is the Matt McNeil Show. Cliff, let's get the ugly out of the way. Let's talk about the Democrats because there is, when Nancy Pelosi goes out there and kind of sabotages AOC, who, you might not like her, but she has proven her time. She has been there enough times. She should start getting into leadership positions. And, part of being a good leader is not only knowing when you need to take the reins, but when you need to step back and
retire.
Honestly. In the aftermath of this election, there seems to be that the Democrats are just shell shocked, and they don't seem to understand the reason why I think you lost is because you lost focus on who you are, which is Democrats, proud Democrats. That's what wins. And you guys, because you were either bribed by billionaires or convinced that 4 Republicans were going to be the difference maker, or, so consumed with far leftist idealism that you basically ignored the realities in front of you. Now they're all just trying to sit there, and it's like a drunk in a bar at night, and they're throwing haymakers trying to hope they hit something. And they're just, they got to get out of their own damn way at this point.
I mean, I think that stuff since the election has been a bigger problem for me in terms of alienating me and angering me and everything else. I mean, here I am, here you are, others. We're putting ourselves on the line. I mean, we're stepping out there. I'm spending time. I'm spending mental energy, and doing all of this. And you are too. And plenty of others. I'm sure some who listen to this are. And when you do all of that and you feel like you're fighting for people who won't even fight for themselves, and you feel like you're the Washington Generals. I mean, I honestly, this has angered me plenty of times in the past, but I saw this newer generation rising up, of the Ted Lieu and Swalwell and AOC and, Stacey Plaskett and, Jasmine Crockett and, I mean, just all these great folks, Dan Goldman. And the biggest problem the Democratic Party has had over the last 30 years is as Republicans have radicalized, broken laws, broken all precedent, broken, all comity in that sense in the Senate and the House and all the stuff that they've done. we've had these old bull Democrats there, and it really does seem there's exceptions there, but the Sheldon Whitehouse is great, for example, but for the most part, it seems to be very generational. If you are boomer and above, you're in what I call the Reagan crouch, where somehow you're still convinced that there's deals to be made, and that you can get Republicans on to make deals if it's in their own best interest. It was in Mitch McConnell's best interest to join on the infrastructure bill with Joe Biden, because we had two bridges between here and Cincinnati, here in northern Kentucky, falling in the water, and he didn't want to go to the Kentucky legislature and try to find a way to pay for it. And we weren't going to. This state wasn't going to pay for it. So he found something that was in their interest to do. Their polling probably showed them that they were getting crushed on the gun issue after a number of those massacres. And of course, we've now just had a couple again. So they did actually pass some gun safety legislation that really did, as bad as it still is awful, and we still need a ton more, but closed 2 or 3 very horrible loopholes that helped. But otherwise, they're not meeting you halfway. They're busy there telling their supporters you're the devil. And when I see that, and I see, and I see what they did with Hunter Biden in the House, while I watch Dick Durbin run the Judiciary Committee, not even calling Clarence Thomas or any of the people under his purview. Never, we still respected the blue slip policy on district judges, after they had gotten rid of it on circuit judges. Well, if we do it, Republicans might do it. They already did. They've proven they will always do it. So stop with that. We didn't even take a step forward to add judges to the court. Which I call, it ain't packing, it's rebalancing. It's adding justice to the court. It's taking back stolen seats and making it something that, by the way, is big enough that it can actually do the job, because it hasn't been increased the size since the 1860s, and this country has grown 12 times or something since then. They accept less than 1% of cases. Throw all that aside. Since the election, when I see some of these, I've seen 2 of them who've come out and called for Trump to be pardoned. I've seen 2 of them, at least, who've come out and called Elon Musk a genius. Elon Musk is an imbecile who took other people's ideas and government subsidies, and is an apartheid baby who took his mommy and daddy's blood diamond money, and how many dumb decisions has that guy made? He is the EQ of like a lampshade. He can't even, he's like JD Vance. He probably can't even walk in and order donuts. I'm sick of it, when we're sitting here fighting. And then you brought up the thing with AOC, and it's sort of like, back in the day, I almost managed Jerry Connolly's campaign for the House. I still lived in the DC area. I was one of 2 or 3 people that met with him. He chose somebody else. Fine. I supported him. I like his politics. I don't even care. See, the thing to me about anymore is, the only way I will not support you, and to me, you're garbage and I don't want you around, is if you are actively attacking and undermining the Democratic Party and refusing to endorse our people. So on the far left, if you're Rashida Tlaib, and she's also made anti-Semitic comments, get lost. And on the far right of our party, if you're Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, get lost. But even, one of your congresswomen there, who I vehemently disagree with on certain things in the Middle East and other things, Ilhan Omar, endorsed Biden, supported the party. And AOC has been very supportive. So yes, she's to my left, and there are a number of things I don't agree with her on. But you know what? I would so much rather have a fighter, have somebody who knows how to fight, who controls the narrative, who launches attacks, who answers every attack against them by making it clear, you'd better do that, not do that again, because I'm going to hit you back 3 times as hard. That's who I want, running these committees. And that Nancy Pelosi, I'm not in leadership, but I'm just going to stay here and look over your shoulder. I'm sorry, leave. You're on the Mount Rushmore of legislators. She is one of the best legislators that's ever served, vote counters and all of that. She never was particularly good at communications. She should have never been the face of the party out in the public. And now she's still doing this stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Turn the party over. Gen X, I'm in the middle. I'll say quickly, I'm sorry, I kick it to you. I'm in the middle of where Gen X is. And I'm already in my early 50s. Can you please turn the party over to people who are in the beginning of Gen X, who are approaching and hitting 60 by now? I think they've earned it.
It is, good leadership is not only knowing when you take the reins, but when you release the reins. And this is a problem that these people that get into power, they don't want to release the reins. I will say this, and we don't have a lot of time, but really quick. A lot of this, I think, is these billionaires, because they're going to Democrats and saying, here's the deal. I'll give you $20,000. All you have to do is forsake your entire platform. And there are too many Democrats are going, yay. not willing to understand that same billionaire is giving $20 billion to your opponents to basically defeat you. And all they're doing is they know at bargain basement prices, they can get Democrats to abandon their own platform and run.
They are not your friends.
They are
All
not.
right. If we want to win back power, the simplest message in the world is that we have unelected weirdo oligarchs sitting there in private rooms making policy over our lives who not one of us voted for. This in Elon Musk, a person who took Twitter, and in the recent studies, his posts are viewed as 16 times as many times as all members of Congress put together. He turned it into a Trump platform. He gave them $300 million to lie in Michigan and say, Trump loves Muslims. He's going to be your best friend. And then just intend to Jews in Philadelphia say, Trump loves Jews. He's going to be your best friend. He lies about everything. He lies like he breathes. He's a despicable human being. And when I see a Democrat sitting there saying what a genius he is or something, I mean, it just makes you want to throw in the towel. And I mean, A, you're right. They're always going to be on their side more. And B, come on, it's the message. It's
exactly
us versus the billionaires. You want to win back working class voters? That's your message.
You got to work for them. That's right. Cliff Schecter joining us. It's the Matt McNeil Show.